guys, and welcome back to our channel. Today I wanted to take a few minutes to go through a video, or to make a video that I have been meaning to make for a long time now. I wanted to make a video with kind of my personal IVF tips for other people, or the things that I learned and that I took away from my first round of IVF. I know that it can be a scary process, and it's a new process, and it's very intensive, so it's kind of scary to go into something new and not really know what to expect. So I wanted to give you guys a couple of tips that I had, or things that I learned that maybe will help you when you're going through your IVF. So my number one tip, and thankfully it is something that I followed from the beginning, is give yourself lots of downtime during your IVF cycle, from the very beginning until the very end. I kind of at first thought, well, I'm going to be taking shots for the first few weeks. It's not going to be too bad. I can kind of have a semi-normal life until really egg retrieval and after that. And that was not really true. Yes, Derek and I took time to go and do things that we enjoyed doing. But I noticed the closer that I got to egg retrieval, the more kind of downtime that I needed to have. You've got to remember your body is going through something that it normally goes through. I mean, ovulation is kind of a normal thing for most people, but it is so heightened that your body just kind of is only focusing on making those eggs. So you want to make sure that you give yourself enough rest time and downtime. We live 2 hours away from our reproductive specialist, and so we had a lot of days where we were just going to doctors. So it was nice to have some downtime, some time that we could just kind of spend together and that I could spend resting. My second tip is to use ice before you take your shots. No one really told me to do this. It was just kind of something that I thought of to begin with, and then about a week after I'd been taking my shots, my nurse said, if it's starting to hurt, make sure that you use some ice beforehand. So I would put an ice pack on my hips or on my stomach about 10 minutes before I would take my shots. Sometimes a little less, but I could definitely tell that the pain was higher when I did not put the ice on for as long. The ice is not particularly comfortable when you put it on, but some of the shots were really painful, especially when in your hips you've been doing it for a really long time and it just starts to get sore in those areas. So I really recommend and thought that it really helped to use ice while I was taking my shots. My third tip is to have a support group. Have people around you that know what you're going through and that know that you're having an important event happen. I told, obviously, Derek. My sisters both knew, my dad knew, and I guess that was about it. We told Derek's parents after we got our positive beta. And it was just nice to have, you know, my sisters who were just really excited about the end result and how we were all hoping that I was going to get pregnant. And it just helped, you know, kind of after I got my beta results, and I could kind of have people to talk to, and it wasn't just me and Derek. So I would definitely recommend, even if you just have one or two people that you fully trust, share your experience with them. I have found that people are much more receptive to hearing about it and are more interested in it than I would have thought. So definitely make sure that you have a support group that is there to kind of pick you up when you're down, really. My fourth piece of advice would be, remember that egg retrieval is an invasive, intensive procedure to go through. I was very nervous about the anesthesia. I had never been put to sleep before, so I kind of had focused on that. And I did not think anything about how my body was going to feel or how I was going to feel after egg retrieval. And it was rough. I did not know what to expect, and I didn't really think about it. And I did not overstimulate, thank goodness. But I was still in a lot of pain, and I was really sore, and I was very uncomfortable for about 4 days afterwards. So Some women are super women and it just doesn't bother them and they can go right back to work the day after, but I definitely needed those 4 days to just rest and relax. And honestly, I didn't feel 100% back to myself for a while after that. Even going in for my transfer, I was still sore and just feeling bleh. So definitely make a plan. Keep in mind that it is an invasive thing. It's not horrible. I'm not dreading the next time that I have to go through it, but definitely keep in mind that it's a big deal. Don't just kind of brush over that part. Number 5 is stay busy during your 2-week wait or your 10-day wait. The days drag on forever. Every day of the month of IVF takes forever. It's just a crazy roller coaster ride. But the 2-week wait is tough. Decide whether you're going to test or not and stick to that. If you decide that you are not going to test before your beta, make a plan and do it. Keep yourself busy, give your things to do, give yourself places to go. Even if you're planning on staying kind of low and you don't want to get up and do much, pick a Netflix show to watch and, you know, tell your partner too. Say, hey, I don't want to test. Help me stick to that plan. Or decide when you are going to test and keep in mind the amount of days that it really does take for those embryos to implant so that you aren't testing and getting negatives and getting discouraged after that. Number 6 is don't test before your beta. Now, this is just kind of like a personal preference as to whether you want to do it or not. If it's your first round of IVF, there's not really any way to know what you like or what you're not going to like. I tested from 5 days past my 5-day transfer and it was really tough to see those negative tests. I think it was more tough because I felt pregnant and I thought that I knew that I was pregnant, which I was. You have to remember, every woman is different. I remember in my Instagram there were several women who got positives on 5 days past their 5-day transfer and I was over crying in the corner because I got a negative. I didn't see a positive pregnancy test until 11 days past my 5-day transfer, which my beta was very, very low. So I'm hoping this next time it will not take that long to see a positive test, but my recommendation would be to wait until your beta to take a pregnancy test. My 7th piece of advice is to make a plan while you are going through IVF. Make a plan as to what you and your significant other are going to do if the results are negative. I read this on a blog probably a week before we got our beta test results back, and Derek and I made a plan. I said, you know, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay in the house and be sad all night? Do you want to go out to dinner? Do you want to go out and see friends? What do we want to do? Because I feel like in the moment of finding out that it didn't work, your emotions kind of take over. And if you can make a plan beforehand, then you kind of have a clear mind and you can think and say, this is what I want to do. So Derek and I planned that we were going to go out with friends, we were going to go to Disney, and we were just going to go and have fun. Life does not end if it does not work this time around. It is hard. 100% is hard, especially most people who are going through IVF have been going through infertility for a long time, and so it's just one more setback and failure that you have to deal with. And especially with IVF, you have so much hope that this is what is going to work and that this is the most invasive thing that you can do, and if this doesn't work then nothing else will ever work, and it's just not true. My doctor says that it takes the average couple 2.7 transfers to get pregnant. So 3 transfers, you know, if it doesn't happen the first time, go back again. I know that you don't want to. I know that it seems like it's pointless. It seemed like it was pointless to me. But here I am, I'm getting ready to go into my frozen embryo transfer, and it definitely is scary to think about failure again, especially when you're putting so much time and money into something. But I think you owe it to yourself to at least give yourself the 3 tries that it takes the average couple to get pregnant through IVF. My last piece of advice is kind of what I just said. If this round does not work, do not lose hope. Take your time to grieve. Give yourself enough time so that your body and your mind are ready to go for your next round, but do not give up, especially if you already have those sweet little frozen embryos that are waiting on you. Try to get through the pain and deal with the failure and emotional whatever you have to go through. But be sure to look towards the future with hope and excitement of your next round hopefully working. But those are my top pieces of advice after going through my first round of IVF. If you guys have any questions that you would like for me to answer, be sure to leave those in the comments down below. I'd be happy to do another video, maybe just specifically about injections or about the transfer or about the egg retrieval. I'm always happy to answer any questions that you guys have. I know a lot of you are either in the midst of your 2-week wait or in the midst of your IVF or getting ready to go through it, and I wish you guys all of the success in the world and all of the baby dust that I can. Hang in there. You will get there eventually. I'm sitting here on the other side of IVF number 1 and a chemical pregnancy, and I'm jumping back in for my frozen embryo transfer, so I know that you guys can too. So I will see you guys later. Bye.